New card. What do you think?
Whoa, very nice. Look at that.
Picked them up from the printers yesterday.
It's very cool, Bateman, but that's nothing. Look at this.
That is really nice.
What do you think?
Nice. Jesus. That is really super. How'd a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to me, Shug Nasty. Today we're talking are Pokemon Black Labels the play in Pokemon? Not just a play in Pokemon, are they the play in Pokemon? Fuck the CGC 10 perfect bullshit, fuck the PSA 10 bullshit, you don't need it. You're a Black Label grader now, baby. You don't fuck with the small money. You just grade Black Labels. That's what you do. And I know a lot of you are going to come and say, hey, Shug, it ain't that easy. You can't just grade a Black Label. And to those of you who say that, I'm going to say, that's a weak-ass mindset. Move your broke ass out the way. Keep grading PSA 10s.
Girl, take it easy.
All right, so yeah, I want to discuss, are Pokemon Black Labels a viable play? And not just a viable play, are they viable as like your only play? Can you be successful not worrying about doing anything else, not flipping raw cards, not sending to PSA or CGC, only sending to Beckett and trying to grade Black Labels and making money that way? Now, before I answer the question, is Black Label grading a viable play in Pokemon? I think it's important to discuss the reasons people grade Black Labels.
Money, baby. It's all about the money.
Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the pros of why you would want to do this. I'm going to use this graphic from the Fine Card Instagram's account. If you're not familiar with them, they do a really good job of reporting recent sales on higher end cards, higher, graded tier cards. But they did this post recently about 3 days ago, just comparing Black Label premiums to the prices of the PSA 10 version of the card. You can see right here, it says about 5 to 7 times the premium is over the PSA 10. So quite a significant jump. And then they'll give specific examples here. The first one, you have the 2018 Sun and Moon Latios GX. In a PSA 10, this card goes for $1,000. And in a PSA pristine Black Label, it goes for $8,267. Damn, I feel like top 10 Pokemon right now.
Think again.
Next, Charizard V from Starbirth with him fighting Venusaur. PSA 10, it's only $120. But in a Black Label, it is $2,800. 23 times more than the PSA 10. And this is when I was looking at this post, this is kind of what started making me think of the question, why am I not just grading Black Labels? Because, you can't always be too confident looking at raw cards online that say that they're near mint, because you can't see surface stuff always, or just lighting is sometimes throws it off. But, what if you just bought 23 of these PSA 10s for $120 a pop? That's $2,800 right there. Buy 23 of those, crack them. Make sure the centering's like not 60-40 on the PSA 10s you buy, because then you won't get a Black Label. But look and see, are they 50-50 or close to? Buy 23 of them, crack them, send them to Beckett, see if you can get a Black Label. I'm not sure of Black Label rates. I've heard numbers tossed around. I heard 0.8%. I've heard 10%. Who knows? It probably depends on what you're sending. If you're sending the best of the best cards, you get a higher percentage rate. But I think 10%, I've heard that number a few times, and I think that's a fair, a fair figure to go off of. So if you get 10% on these 23 cards, that's 2 cards back as Black Labels. 2 cards you could sell for just say $2,500. That's $5,000. Minus the $2,800 you spent for the cards. Then you got to, take out your grading fees for Beckett. You got to take out the shipping cost for sending it there, for shipping to people once you sell it. You got to take out eBay fees. Did I say eBay fees? I don't remember, but I did the math very quickly in my head previously, and it came out to like, I don't know, $1,500 you'd make, which is a pretty decent amount for not doing too much. There's not too much brain work involved in this. It's like you see what cards going in for the Black Label and the PSA 10. If you can get a 23x multiplier on this, or even a 10x multiplier, like I feel like it's worth the chance. It's worth the dice roll for only $120 a PSA 10. That's not that bad of a price. And then what if the worst case scenario comes back a Beckett 10, Gold Label 10, then you sell it for, and make your money back. A few more examples. You got the Umbreon from Neo, 38 times more. I can kind of see why this one goes for a bit more. Kind of. It's got a pop 2 in a Beckett Black Label. You got this Pikachu here going for 13 times more. And then you got this modern Sylveon going for 5 times more. Still crazy multipliers on these, I believe. For modern cards, 5 to 7 times more is kind of nuts. But yeah, so I thought that post was pretty informative and showing a good comparison between the black labels and the PSA price. All right, so that's the pros of why you would want to do that. Really only one pro if you're trying to, do this as a business is the more profit, more potential profit. For the cons, there's a few things you want to look at. One, the replicability of it, how repeatable is grading black labels, and that all depends on how Beckett grades their cars, how good of a quality control they have, how consistent they are in maintaining that standard that they've set, whatever the standard is, maintaining that standard in what qualifies as a black label card, as a quote unquote perfect card. Because there are some things that are obviously measurable, like centering. I mentioned earlier that you can measure centering, you can make sure it's perfect. Whitening, a little bit more objective, kind of subjective to some people maybe, but you can obviously look and say, okay, there's whitening on the card, that's a point off. Or there's no whitening on the card, cool. But then you have things like edges and corners, and that's where you get like kind of really more subjective than anything, and it's difficult to quantify or measure. So that's where you could lose some of that replicability and consistency in grading, which would affect you if this was your sole business. What is it called? Business model for how you wanted to participate in the Pokemon hobby and earning money through grading cards. That's I think one of the main reasons people just don't do this. I believe is because it's not a consistent way to earn money in Pokemon. It's very there's a lot of unknowns, and uncertainty in doing so. So I think that's a big con. The other would be the long-term value of these black labels. How long are they going to retain these high prices, these 5 to 7x multipliers, these 23 times multipliers over the PSA 10? There's several things that could change that if they decided to be a little bit less stringent on their grading. That could turn people off if they're like, oh, this is no longer the perfect tier of grading. This is, it's just like they've been too lenient. These cards aren't as, exclusive. They're not as hard to get. That could affect it. Also, like if something like if PSA came in and, decided they only have a PSA 10. They don't have above like a PSA 10 plus or a PSA pristine, 10 pristine. CGC has one. Beckett has one. ARS, the Japanese grading company, has a 10 plus. But PSA doesn't. And I don't think Nat Turner, I think in his interview with PK, he said that they didn't really have plans in the near future to do so, but that could always change. And with someone like PSA coming in and doing that, I think that'll be, affect the black label price like a lot, because PSA has got such a strong, presence in the grading industry, and they own so much of the market share that their fan base, that just grades with Beckett just because that's the top, they can get that top tier grade, could just be like, well, I love PSA. Now that they have this available tier, I'm just going to grade all my cards with PSA. And generally PSA 10s, are the higher of any kind of 10. They go for more than a CGC 10, regular 10, or a BGS 10 generally. So people may value that over the black label a bit more. So that's another factor. And the other thing was long-term value is definitely going to, change with these modern cards. These modern black labels, they're minty cards that were raw or like haven't been as well flushed out as the vintage cards. It's a lot harder to find vintage minty cards. So a lot of what's out there is suspected, at least by most, to already have been graded, or it's just really difficult to find now. So a lot of those pops have been flushed out. With the modern cards, you still have people sitting on probably tons and tons of product with these cards still there. The quality's better on modern cards. People have been, more in Pokemon, more into grading, more so than they were with these, Pokemon cards. Now that these cards are worth some money, so you're gonna have a lot bigger populations with these modern cards, and they're gonna continue to grow. Even the black label being so hard to obtain, those populations will still continue to grow, and those modern cards a lot quicker than the vintage cards. So that's one thing to look out and think about if you are one of those people purchasing the black labels, the modern black labels, is you know, at these prices, can they maintain their value? And if you're using it as an investment, good luck, bro, because I honestly don't see them growing very much. That's a wild, very risky investment if that's the case. So, yeah, as I guess to answer the question, is this a viable option just to only grade black labels as a business? As a business, if this is your only income and you're not doing anything else, no, because you don't have that consistency, you don't have that peace of mind or knowing, you know, what your income's going to be like every month. At least I don't think so. Again, if I'm arguing that a 10% black label rate can be obtained, and I showed you the Charizard numbers briefly. If that can be done pretty consistently, the 10%, then you can make some money. Would I bet on it? Probably not. I probably wouldn't bet like, oh, if this is your only way to support yourself and your family. Yeah, I probably wouldn't bet on the black label. But it is interesting, and I kind of, I'm kind of looking into it maybe more now than I was in the past. I really didn't care until I started doing research for this video, but I'm kind of wanting to see and test it. How many black labels can I get, and how often can I get them, to really test my pre-grading, and see how difficult it really is. I've heard it is difficult and sometimes frustrating, but yeah, maybe more to come from that. Maybe some content to come from that. We'll see. It'll be fun. Maybe not. Who knows? But that's all I had on the subject. Yeah, quick video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the topic. Let me know your thoughts. Am I wrong? Did I miss something? Is there more to think about that I didn't address? And let me know, I guess, your success. If you have any kind of numbers, like percentage of black label rates, if you've graded a lot of Beckett cards, chasing black labels, let me know if you have some kind of estimated black label rate of how often you hit a black label. That'd be interesting to know. And maybe if we get a few people putting in those numbers, it would be interesting to see what if they're similar rates or if they're different. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.